CMA Intermediate Book Back MCQs. Number of product varieties that can be manufactured in job production is large varieties of products. Number of product varieties that can be manufactured in mass production is few varieties in large volumes. In general, number of product varieties that can be manufactured in flow production is one only or very low variety. Generally, the size of the order for production in job production is small. Generally, in continuous production, the production is carried out for stock and supply. Inventory cost per product in intermittent production is higher. The material handling cost per unit of product in continuous production is lower than other systems. Routing and scheduling becomes relatively complicated in batch production. The starting point of production cycle is market research. Variety reduction is generally known as simplification. Preferred numbers are used to determine the number of varieties that are to be manufactured. The act of assessing the future and make provisions for it is known as forecasting. For a marketing manager, the sales forecast estimate of the amount of unit sales for a specified future period. The time horizon selected for forecasting depends on purpose for which forecast is made. For production planning, short-term forecasting is useful. In general, medium range forecasting period will be approximately 3 to 6 months. The long range forecasting period may be approximately above 5 years. To plan for future manpower requirement, long range forecasting is used. Long range forecasting is useful in planning for research and development. Medium range forecasting is useful to plan for capacity adjustments. To decide workload for men and machine, short term forecasting is used. Important factor in forecasting production is available capacity of machines. Application of technology or process to the raw material to add use value is known as production. In production by disintegration, the material undergoes change in physical and chemical characteristics. In production by service, the product undergoes the changes in chemical and mechanical properties. Use of any process or procedure designed to transform a set of input elements into a set of output elements is known as production. Management of conversion of inputs into outputs is known as operations management. The desired objective of production and operation management is optimal utilization of available resources. The scope of production planning and control is unlimited, can be applied to any type of activity. Manufacturing system often produces standardized products. The difference between product system and project system is in product system the machinery and equipment are fixed, and in project system they are not fixed. Most important benefit to the consumer from efficient production system is he gets increased use value in the product. Two important functions that are to be done by production department are scheduling and loading. Fixing the flow lines of materials in production is known as routing. The act of releasing the production documents to the production department is known as dispatching. The activity of specifying when to start the job and when to end the job is known as scheduling. In an organization, the production planning and control department comes under manufacturing department. In job production system, we need skilled laborers. In continuous manufacturing system, we need special machine tools and highly skilled laborers. Most suitable layout for job production is process layout. Most suitable layout for continuous production is line layout or product layout. One of the product examples for line layout is cement. The act of going around the production shop to note down the progress of work and feedback the information is known as follow-up. Line of best fit is another name given to method of least squares. One of the important basic objectives of inventory management is to employ the available capital efficiently so as to yield maximum results. The best way of improving the productivity of capital is to be increased through effective materials management. MRP stands for Material Requirement Planning. JIT stands for Just in Time Production. The cycle time selected in balancing a line must be slightly greater than the highest time element given in the problem. The lead time is the time between placing the order and receiving the materials. Production planning deals with what production facilities is required and how these facilities should be laid out in space available. The first stage in production planning is factory planning or demand forecasting. In process planning, we plan the flow of material in each department. In operation planning, the planner plans each operation to be done at work centers and the sequence of operations. Before thinking of routing, the production planner has to decide the optimal allocation of available resources. The quantities for which the planner has to prepare production plan are known as planning quantity standards. The document which is used to show planning quantity standards and production plan is known as planning specifications. In route sheet or operation layout, one has to show every work center and the operation to be done at that work center. The cycle time selected in balancing a line must be slightly greater than the highest time element given in the problem. In solving a problem on line of balance, the number of workstations required is given by total time divided by cycle time. Total station time divided by cycle time into number of workstations into 100 is known as line efficiency. Final stage of production planning, where production activities are coordinated and projected on a time scale, is known as scheduling. Scheduling shows which resource should do which job and when. Scheduling deals with fixing up starting and finishing times of each operation in doing a job. The study of relationship between the load on hand and the capacity of the work centers is known as loading. One of the aims of loading is to keep operator idle time, material waiting time, and ancillary machine time at minimum. One of the principles of scheduling is principle of optimal operation sequence. The method used in scheduling a project is PERT and CPM. Production planning in the intermediate range of time is termed as aggregate planning. One of the requirements of aggregate planning is both output and sales should be expressed in a logical overall unit of measuring. In aggregate planning, one of the methods in modification of demand is differential pricing. In aggregate planning, one of the methods used to modification of supply is hiring and layoff of employees depending on the situation. The first stage of production control is triggering of production operations and observing the progress and record the deviation. The act of releasing the production documents to production department is known as dispatching. One of the important production documents is route card. One of the important charts used in program control is Gantt chart. The way in which we can assess the efficiency of the production plant is by comparing the actual performance with the targets specified in the specified program. Production control concerned with passive assessment of plant performance. When work centers are used in optimal sequence to do the jobs, we can minimize the setup time. The act of going around the production shop to note down the progress of work and feedback the information is known as follow-up. One of the activities of expediting is to record the actual production against the scheduled production. Z chart is a chart used in program control. Z chart can be used to show both the plan and the performance and the deviation from the plan. Computers are used in production control in this area: loading, scheduling, and assignment works. The following establishes time sequence of operations. Scheduling. Arrangement of machines depending on sequence of operations happens in product layout. Linear programming is a technique used for determining product mix. Issuing necessary orders and taking necessary steps to ensure that the time targets set in the schedules are effectively achieved is known as dispatching. Preventive maintenance is useful in reducing shutdown cost. One of the important charts used in program control is Gantt chart. Generally, the size of the order for production in job production is small. One of the product examples for line layout is cement. The card which is prepared by the dispatching department to book the labor involved in each operation is job card. Cost reduction can be achieved through value analysis. Addition of value to raw materials through application of technology is production. Total station time divided by cycle time into number of workstations into 100 is known as line efficiency. The most powerful and popular method for solving linear programming problem is simplex method. Most suitable layout for continuous production is line layout.